the board meeting. It is the 20th of March, 2026. So let's call to order the Troy, New York Local Development Corporation Board of Directors meeting, 9:10 a.m. All board members are present, including our Executive Director Seamus and Councilor Justin Miller. We are going to start with two minute approvals, one from January 16th, which had to be amended, and one from February 20th. If the board has a chance to read through that, or if it has any corrections or anything, let's bring them up. Otherwise, we'll give you guys a minute to do that, and then if not, then we can approve those.
Just a minor thing on page 2 of the February. I think it's instead of GMAC standards, it should be GAP. Is that correct? Yeah, okay.
But the paragraph on the bottom?
Yeah. Generally accepted accounting principles.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve January 16th as recorded and February 20th as amended?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And no opposed. Great. Thank you. And on to the Executive Director's report. Take away, Seamus.
So, one thing too, just so everybody, we are the audit, we're hoping that gets completed in about another week or so. So we'll be bringing that to the next board meeting. Also some annual meeting items as well. So that will be in the April meeting. Project update on Proctor's, just how that's moving along. We've the base to the assembly hall, that has been, the concrete has been poured. Pretty interesting process to watch. They're really making a lot of progress and headway over there. We started going over some finishes, flooring. We're working on paint, different things like that now. Ironing out a couple other things as we go. But just to remind the board and for everybody, we do have bi-weekly construction meetings on site. So I'm at every one of them, along with H2M, our third-party rep, Chris Marini, our city engineer, Carlo from Code, and Jared Behringer from the fire department. I'm Omaid from our IT department. So Joe Mazzarello from OGS. We have a pretty good working group that's there with BBL, bi-weekly. Just checking in on the progress, and they're on schedule. Like I said, it was really interesting to kind of see the concrete getting poured and leveled out, and they're actively, parts of the historic arcade hallway have, there have been some paint has been, scraped down and, kind of starting to get primed up.
With lead paint, was that?
So they're, I don't know off the top of my head, but I would
Probably,
imagine. Yeah. So that's been, while the stuff's going on in the assembly hall area, there's crews also working in the lobby and in that hallway doing the paint stuff. There was some historic, murals that were kind of on, I don't know if it would be called this, but lack of a better explanation, wallpaper almost. They're, so we're able to take those off or, keep those safe. It's
send them to the SHPO warehouse in People's Island or something.
Yeah. Well, we have some of the. So we did, which I don't know if I informed the board of this too, but through the Troy Redevelopment Foundation, we did, which is a group of education and institutions, and plus Trinity Health, but Emma Willard, Sage, and RPI, some money, I think around $35,000 to do, some restoration with some of the art. There's a couple other sources that we're working on as well, and a couple other people that are working on that too, like Don Rittner, So, you know, we're trying to, anything we can restore or preserve to then restore in the future. We're really trying to, you know, the original carpet that was in that, arcade was kind of a reddish cut, you know, we're trying to stick as close to what was there within reason. You know, so, we did a lot of work with a lot of the historic photos and colorizing them and things like that. So trying to stick to what it used to look like as much as possible, but it is just, it really is interesting seeing it going from what on paper to just the cutouts to some, you know, the hallway, and it's like you can kind of start being like, yeah, that's where the treasurer's office is gonna be, and, you know, you could.
I'm taking photos.
I cannot, yeah,
transition.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's very interesting. And I think that we brought this up, but, and maybe I can start an email, but I do think it would be great for the board to take a trip to go look through it, especially before certain walls start going up, because you can kind of appreciate it a little bit more at this stage. So I would say that'd be something we should do in the next month, so I'll throw that around, a little field trip for the board. But
Is there any renovation going on with the office space?
yeah, so that's also
Excuse me.
going on at the same time. So the way that we run it.
Tenants just got out.
Yeah, yes. So,
right.
but you would be shocked from how, I mean, even where there's already, you know, walls down up there. I
So
mean,
they're doing the selective
oh,
demo
yeah,
on, okay.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we, for one of our like cost saving measures was if we had existing offices that pretty much, you know, ideally you wanted, you know, department heads or supervisor, people's offices to stay as close to kind of what they have now, but in certain places it didn't make sense to, you know, demo a wall just to move it a foot over or stuff. So they're doing they're doing some demoing of the walls. They'll start ripping up the old carpet and things like that, because that's pretty much what's going on upstairs. Moving of some walls, some reprogramming, you know, new flooring, we'll paint it, things like that. The IT infrastructure will have to start, you know, our IT stuff will have to start coming in there. Yeah, it's interesting to see them working on all fronts across the whole entire building. Yeah, so for Proctor's, and I don't think unless before I see if there's anything just new and ask Andrew, the community business investment grants, today's the deadline, right, Janae? Today is the deadline. So we've received applications, have received, a good amount of applications for that so far. I don't know if, I know we talked about it briefly, but do you think we have enough applications at this point to fulfill the total, like if we were to award all of them, we're at our amount, or we would still need some more applicants to fulfill the amount that we have?
I think as of last night, we had over 20.
Oh, that's good, because that's,
They came flowing in at the.
yeah, okay, and we will
Yes,
probably get more
yesterday.
today. Yeah, that's
And
good.
now there's more.
Everybody waits till the
Yeah,
end.
yep, so I was trying to tell everybody 4:30, please have them in by then. I'm gonna extend it to like 6, so it's online, we'll accept them until,
Yeah.
just so nobody really gets,
Okay,
cut off. In case they have a technical issue. That's
Good.
a big deal.
good. And thanks again, Danae, for all your work on that. And, once we compile all those and start reviewing them, that's something that we can bring to the next board meeting. Start getting that money out the door.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
There was, what, $1 million in ARPA?
Yes, originally, yeah.
And can you give me the balance?
I
Was
want,
it just 98, like almost 100 that has been awarded so far, or?
no, we have, so I wanna
July
say roughly a little under 800,000 has already been awarded. I think, what was our balance today, a little around
We
2?
have just over 200,000.
Yeah.
And that's with no, if I remember right, that's all of the ones that had been awarded had the full payouts, right? Or might be the wrong word, but.
Yeah, there's 3 remaining from the first batch that are, 2 of them have the full 50,000, and then third one a little bit less.
So at the minimum, it's that right over 200, and if those three come back and only need the reimbursement for, or the match for half, then that number might go up.
Yeah.
It could,
Mhm.
but that's,
Mhm.
like, that's
Pretty-
not expected.
Yeah, I think they're pretty set with their amount, 'cause they're almost done.
And at one point, it was only 98, but then what happened, it just, people were coming back like I didn't spend it all, or et cetera, and it just kept growing.
Yeah.
And does that 200 plus, does that include the admin fee?
No,
Or is that already, like, accounted for in the spend?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
they took the admin out of it and just was like, this is
Yeah.
a pot of extra money.
Because there was how much was that? I should know this.
So what was it, either 10 or 15%?
It was a small amount, but there was an amount in the carry.
5%?
To carry for just the services.
Mm-hmm.
So that 200, let's call it 200, 210, whatever it is just for the grant money to go out this round. And if it grows any more, we have to find a way to spend it, or.
Before the end of the
Or
year.
we have more, or if we have more applicants and we have money, then hopefully we'll be at that point, but not at the 11th hour.
Yeah,
That's the
no,
goal.
exactly. So on the city end of it, we actually just had an ARPA steering committee with, 2 council members and, myself, the mayor, and, discussing the plan of, how we, my office is actively reaching out to recipients on the city end, of course, and don't have to reach out to myself, at least for here, so that's good, but I'm sending letters, stuff like, hey, we're getting to that point, and, we decided that we do wanna, about middle of the year, start evaluating where different people are. A lot of, we don't have too much money out of there. Some of it, though, is tied up in larger projects that are just about to kick off, American Theater, Farmers Market, things like that, so. But it's good to hear that we shouldn't have that problem here with the LDC. I agree, Jeff, that way, hopefully we have almost a little bit more of an ask, so if
Yeah.
things don't, work out, or what people end up doing, I know before, which may happen here, is they originally think they can spend 10, they end up only matching 8, and, so you got a $2,000 here, this here, but we'll get that money out the door one way or another. Geothermal and King Fuels, I don't know, minus the.
Geothermal still in a holding pattern.
Still at PSC rating.
Circulated, request from the off-takers for support letter,
Mm-hmm,
but it's still.
that's pretty much where we're at there, yeah.
King Fuels was out there, with, a representative from HRP, the consulting firm that the city is engaged with for the Brownfield Community-Wide Action Grant, to explore the areas that are currently under consideration for redevelopment, which includes Berry parcel as well as the LDC parcel adjacent to it. It had been investigated in 1999, but the parameters of investigation have changed. So what our hopes are is to get a stage 2 investigation completed and be able to use that information in conjunction with the plan redevelopment for that area, to engage in conversation with the Department of Environmental Conservation to make sure that any progression of redevelopment of that site is done in conformity with the requirements of remedial action. Steps of transfer of parcels and such still pending. Obviously, any LOI and LDA are still pending. Hopefully that will get progressed sooner. This is an important element as far as information of the site to the interested party. So we kind of have chips on the table for ourselves to share.
Partially piebald, right? Yeah.
In the future. So that's progressing. The access agreements, Justin had reviewed the LDC's position as far as being okay with it. Concurred that it's a decent.
A good license agreement, yeah.
So the city has the same, access agreement to go on the parcel, because there will be, some intrusive activity as far as stage 2 goes, to drilling those micro, borings for wells.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get that in front of Rick too, just so I know I saw that email, so,
Yeah, if we can get them going
yeah.
sooner than later, it'll
Says
help.
it's okay.
Fine, yeah.
So, as soon as we
God
get
knows
that-
what else is going on out there, so.
That just progresses that. As far as the remobilization or mobilization of, land remediation, who I believe will be the contractor for the third phase of remediation that work. They, if it stops snowing, they'll probably be starting to get trailers on site and, move forward. But I'm thinking it's more going to be an April startup rather than the end of this month.
Mhm.
It's great, they're still on track to be done this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Yeah, everything has been, I mean, the phase 1, just with the amount of concrete in the ground, it was a hassle, but it wasn't a problem. And phase 2, things went well. So keeping on that time frame, the knowledge of what exists in that area in front of ELOT and along the riverbank seems to be well documented, so I don't anticipate any that they have to chase. So to complete it as scheduled seems realistic.
When the remediation is complete, is there a plan for redevelopment? Or-
That's what we're in the middle of talking, if you're familiar with the site, the Wynants Kill kind of splits it. And on the north side is 4 or 5 acres that the LDC owns, and then the city owns 6 or 7 right now, and there's approvals in place just to transfer it to the LDC. We haven't done it yet because of the environmental liability, we're not sure, but the plan generally is to put that acreage together north of the Wynants Kill as a first phase of redevelopment, and it's daunting, and part of the strategy here is to get things up on Monroe Street-ish, down, move the salt pile. That'd be the first phase. So there's a natural buyer and redevelopment plan gonna happen for the north part. The south part is something I think we'll actively market and have a redevelopment plan, or multiple proposals maybe coming in on that.
Commercial development?
It would have to be light industrial or heavy, just because of the environmental covenants. You can't really dig into the soil, you can never have housing there. It's-
Right.
Yeah.
The north end could be, like, further north than that, like along the river, could be housing, but a lot of that's private land, but yeah, from the site you're talking about south,
Yeah.
it's all industrial.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
the
that's
stuff
why
around
you-
Monroe could be mixed housing, like a
When you
Rusco
see,
Light, that kind of stuff.
The salt pile, like that area can be, that's gonna, you kind of
Right.
shift the industry down and open up on the other end. versus
Everything around
just
Old Brick
housing.
eventually will be a nice neighborhood. It's just,
Yeah,
it's been a generation to try to turn
Yeah.
it, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I've only lived here since 2007, but it's like you can go from the Champlain Canal in Waterford, the cleanup sites in Cohoes, and now in Troy and down in Rensselaer, and it's kind of crazy, like,
Mhm.
even, like, the people who've lived here for longer than I have, like, these cleanup projects are, like, it's impressive to see, like,
That-
they don't stop, like, they
It
just
takes
keep,
decades,
it just
though.
takes a long time, but
Mhm.
it's like, we're doing it, like, so it's exciting to see, like, this cleanup as part of it, because it's like every
Mhm.
year, there's a new one starting in some district somewhere, it's
Mhm.
great.
There are a couple
It
of
would-
items, just, general maintenance. One, the road is really bad.
I saw that too with the pot, and you mentioned
Mhm.
some LDC money for that, or?
Every year, County Waste gives us $10,000 under the
Okay, yeah.
lease because they're the heaviest user on that
Yeah,
road,
yeah.
biggest impact. So we have, I think, built up 50 or 60 grand of annual accumulation that's been held.
Mhm.
The idea is as soon as the plant's open, for the city to go through, patch and kind of,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's a mill and fill, but
Well-
but we have money to give to the city for the force.
Yeah, did we just patched it last year, and it, right?
Well, Callahan was doing Water Street.
Yeah.
So Chip had them go do a little patchwork. 2 large potholes that did not exist last year are on the bridge decking itself. So that's most of my concern.
Okay.
Because when trucks hit that,
The more weather gets into the decking of that bridge, it's gonna mess up the bridge.
Yeah, the bridge is something that just needs
Okay.
be maintained a little longer. The second thing is that, and this is something that we've been watching for a number of years, is the west of the bridge, as well as a little bit to the east. That's all channelized, they're concrete, reinforcements along the channel, but they're segments.
Mm-hmm.
And one has, which is a little bit to the east of the substation area for the retention, has pulled away, allowing water to infiltrate the area a little bit behind it. What's exacerbated that is 2 years ago, a utility pole somehow came down the Wymanskill and got caught in it and.
Was that the thing that was stuck across? I thought that was
Yes,
intentional.
it creates a cascade now,
Yeah.
so, it doesn't seem to have hurt it anymore, but with this spring's melt off, it's been a little crazy, so looking at it, may have moved a little bit, but not a lot, and structurally, I think it's fine. And I don't know what kind of covenant might exist between the LDC and National Grid relative to the stability of their substation and the surrounds, and the responsibility of the LDC to ensure.
That's a good question. They have an easement inside our land, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not part of the easement.
It's outside of it, yeah.
Yeah.
What if we
so
destabilize their land is the question, right?
So,
Inadvertently, right?
right, and I'm thinking you knew what you had, so if anything happens, we could allow them to correct it.
They could do self-help, yeah.
However,
They may charge us back, yeah, we don't
the
want
EC may not want that.
to, because that's right in the estuary, yeah.
Is any removal of human-made structure recreates the natural, connection between the Wymanskill and the Hudson, even though the Wymanskill was moved from its original outlet.
And the original sluice was over by the ELOT building,
Yeah.
and they straightened it, yeah. There's stories of cars and
Yeah.
trains buried there, who knows, but, yeah.
So it's just one of those things to be known, nothing immediate necessary.
No, it's good, we can iron out how it works out, but we did build into the paving program, this year too, where the crew kinda owes us some, like, one-offs outside of where we're, because, we always, really the thought of it was, during the paving season, we always get that call like, we paved the road 2 years ago, there was a water main break, and now so instead of it just being terrible, and while we have crews in the city, contractor, go do a full, curb-to-curb cutout, at least repair it the best we can. I almost think that would probably be best for there.
Separate, because at the end of this year, you get a big, check from Grid for the road. It would not.
It's like another 90 grand or something, or,
I think it's like 89,000.
yeah.
I don't.
That's end of this year, Andrew, or next year, I'm
When
sorry?
they wrap up this
When
phase.
they're done, okay.
Each phase,
I mean, is it-
they give us a tranche of, because we knew the road would get beat up.
Okay.
Is it that big?
The bridge?
Like, do you need like a steel, like, are we looking for a patch or a steel plate? or
No,
is it-
definitely a patch.
Okay.
It was, I think the bridge work would be excluded from that area as not being roadway. So,
Anything along, what is called King Road is part of what,
on
County
LDC,
waste,
on
yeah.
LDC property.
LDC owns the bridge, yeah.
So the areas,
As we know.
the phased remediation, everything is to the south of the Wymanskill.
We can use the money for wherever you want, yeah.
Right.
So,
But anyway, as far as priority goes, bridge potholes are obviously primary.
That one looks like it could eat a car, yeah, that's a good one.
There's a lot of
Alright.
those around.
Okay.
Shovel Samus.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I'll be out there with my,
Turn that on and.
yep.
Reflective vest, make sure you have green.
Now, listen, that's, we're in that mode here
The mini,
in Troy too.
the mini roller.
Thank you for those updates, Andy. And, now we're into new business, annual meeting resolution.
We gonna table that?
So that is, yeah, that's what
Wrong agenda.
that's what I was saying earlier, is that we'll entertain the, we'll have a review of the audit, the annual resolution, all that stuff.
Just wanted, yeah.
That'll be
Yeah.
28th?
The April's meeting, yeah.
Oh, the April meeting, okay. Okay.
And no old business, we will jump into
I
the,
have one quick
Oh, sorry,
item.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. this goes back to Proctor's, and I didn't want to jump in front of you. The Don Rittner conversation about documentary, just for conversational purposes, and then a possible resolution. BBL and Columbia, in the past had, a documentary produced with Don for their projects that have historical aspects. They did the Renaissance Hotel, and we basically made a 45 to an hour-long documentary on the building and the history and all that stuff, and he's expressed an interest in doing that for Proctor's. On the side of that, BBL and Columbia really want to support that. They've assembled around 20,000 in donations to put together to produce the film. We volunteered to donate some too. And we may be looking around for other supporting organizations to contribute to the...
We as the LDC or we as Harris Beach?
Well, me, there's a lot of royal we's here, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
but any private sector support will be solicited. So the concept is, because
I got my shoes on. I got my socks on today.
That's right, Uncle Sam.
Like Uncle Sam.
There you go, love it.
Is to put together, the LDC is a 501c3, so we can accept charitable donations and give people something to file with their taxes.
Got it.
Is to bundle those donations together to have a fund. And that fund would be used to pay Don Rittner to do this film. And that's going to be archiving and putting together something like, the Ken Burns
I was
type thing
just
about
thinking that, like,
Proctor's.
Blue
Our
Ridge.
version of a Ken Burns documentary film that kind of needs to start going now because the building's in a dynamic state of change. We want to get in there before.
Exactly, he wants to catch still, like, appreciate the stuff that you can, again, that's why I want the
Right.
group to go there before.
Yeah, so, of course, the lawyer got involved. Don needs rights to go in there and access, like a license agreement, and then there's questions of the intellectual property. It's our film, it's our content. We want to have editorial control over the final version. BBL has concerns because it's an active construction site. They have insurance and they have liability and subcontractors. You don't want someone running around and tipping a camera into a concrete pour or whatever. So the concept is to put together a production license agreement that gets Don in there safely, and BBL will have some direction and control over where he goes and when he goes there to make sure it's safe. And then
we'll have control of what.
what is
gets
produced,
released,
and
yeah.
they want to make sure that it's safe, and that they have OSHA inspectors there all the time, like any construction site. They just want to make sure that what is captured is always going to be, showing stuff that's safe and making sure that the timing and where he's at fits with their flow of work. So the concept is to put together a donation program, which is another thing for our CFO and Dana to control. It'll be some funds that are deposited and kind of like dedicated to this purpose.
Do they know how much it's, did they give you an estimate?
I think BBL and Columbia worked with Don for a roughly $19,000 budget. He's a not-for-profit too, I think, so it's really going to support him, his labor. And we'll right now targeting around $25,000, if not more. And whatever else in profit is made, it'll help the LDC also preserve and frame things for the arcade, and it'll be kind of for that purpose, and also help tell the story right now.
Put it in the waiting room on,
Yeah,
instead of
exactly. Yeah,
second use.
the nice
Yep.
frame stuff or what have you, or to help with some of the historic preservation extras that we want to do. So without putting too much formality on it, the concept is to make sure the board's comfortable with setting up that donation bucket and then signing a license agreement that I need to kind of scratch out.
Did you
so-
talk to Brandon?
I talked to Brandon yesterday at length, and they were going to set it up directly with Don and his not-for-profit, and I was like, well, we're the owner.
No, I like your,
We'll kind of control
and then
the-
it gives us that, when you control the money, you
Yeah.
control what's going on.
Okay.
And in the past, they've done DVDs, which have been
You're a
commemorative.
501, I didn't realize, 501c3.
Yeah, we're a C3, so we can solicit donations.
And frankly, I imagine it will help him with the access and not issues, but the concerns of BBL, like anyone.
Yeah.
So that's good if we're in charge of
He's stepping into 5 layers of insurance in the whole
Yeah.
project, and we just want to make sure that it's done the right way. And eventually, everyone will have a DVD. It'll be like a YouTube somewhere. Maybe the LDC's Facebook page and our YouTube page could have this, kind of historical thing. So the question is, can we accept some money and then pay some money, and make sure that Don is doing it safely? That's what I wanted to present today, and see if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, thank you for having that call, look into this, because, Don is another, champion of this project, and just, if you're not familiar, I mean, way back when, RPI, I think either, whether RPI had just purchased it or, RPI was selling it to Columbia, Don got involved, was really trying to save the theater. I mean, you know, try to put an effort into saving the theater, put a lot of legwork, try to raise money, and, you know, started to realize what a heavy lift it was. And then, when Columbia got involved purchasing and rehabbing the building, that's how he kind of synced up with those guys way back when, and, you know, was kind of a, like, historic advisor to them in a lot of ways. And, so then when this project with, the LDC and the new permanent city hall came about, he's been involved, and he's been helpful where, you know, he's already, brought a couple historic folks that, specialize in restoring, you know, murals like that, and the balconies and things. And again, you know, it's exciting stuff, you know, until you get the price tag for that type of thing. But I think we've always thought of that, you know, if we can, it can be an ever-working effort to kind of continue to bring whatever back. And, you know, if down the road grants come available, and I know he's working on that too, but it would be great to document, you know, especially exactly where the stage of construction and everything is now. Again, it's a very interesting backdrop looking at all this historic stuff, with just, you know, concrete and just seeing it all come together. He also had stored, which I couldn't wait for him. Our last meeting, he was supposed to show up. I think he came a little after, the group left, but he had, I don't know if they're the original, or, you know, there's a couple stage up at chandeliers, you know, that he had stored from way back when that he's, you know, we might incorporate into the arcade hallway there. So
There's old projectors too that are
yeah,
the size of a table.
he brings a lot of that. He brings a lot of that to the table. Huge with the knowledge
The
of that
Egg did that
building and a lot
recently. I
of
mean,
stuff.
that's stuff from the 70s. The Egg just did a rehab, but they have the old soundboards from the 70s that are like the size of a bus.
Yeah,
With
cool.
all the light switches and all
Yeah.
that. It's cool, and they put that in the arcade of the Egg.
Yeah.
The walk-in areas, the
Yeah.
crescent.
My main interest
Kinda
in
cool.
getting him signed up now is like, ultimately, he becomes the de facto, like, steward or curator of the history of the project. And this information might exist in a million places, but oftentimes it's just tracking it down. And getting someone to, like, be, like you said, the time it takes to be in charge and do this. So if he's interested, like, let's get this going, but if he's interested in coming with, you know, additional concepts for any type of showcase or like that, bringing something in the lobby, whatever, like, using him, as under the LDC with this would be fantastic. Just let him know, I think anyone would
This
be
is the first
receptive.
step. I mean, eventually, if there's ideas about doing stuff upstairs and the, you know,
Right.
what's above, right? This is the format to do that. If there's grants,
Yeah.
SHPO grants, you know, all that stuff that, to restore the plaster and do that stuff that is intensive and costly, there's an intention to do that, but how do you do that? And
Yeah.
out of
Yeah,
what
this
resources?
is the start, so,
And if we have an executive session, there's some irony in all this too, but, we can talk about, if
Yeah.
you wanna go into executive for an update as well on litigation or legal stuff.
Just in terms of the concept, is it, to use the construction, the renovation of this historic building as the background to bring in all the history? Is that the type
Right.
of documentary?
Yeah, before it's altered a little bit, and,
Yeah, yeah.
and we've reinforced the fact that what we're doing is reversible.
Mhm.
If there was some $50 million plan that went in there and did it like, you know, kind of like a palace, but, for now, capturing what's there historically, documenting it, and then showing it as it evolves, and then the finished project, and then there's, you know, what's next? How do you go above and preserve things,
And I think
so.
a part of it is, too, not only, his existing knowledge of everything that the building was, too, but capturing the uniqueness of this project and that it is, you know, this, you know, new construction happening within this old historic building, and how you kind of have to tippy-toe in certain ways in watching that, and how that the foundation of the Assembly Hall is different than what it would be in your typical structure for that reason, that it can be removed, you know, so, kind of document how they're getting around all that.
Do you need a formal, Just, like, what do we approve, what's on the table for us to approve,
Yeah,
if anything?
the resolution would be to, set up, an acceptance mechanism for donations to support historic preservation at Proctor's. There's a rough budget of around $25,000 for now, that's, committed for that. And to enter into a production license agreement, to produce a documentary film for the theater, up to $19,000.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the resolution, as described?
Make a motion.
I will,
Second,
go ahead.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And no opposed? Great, thank you.
Thanks for the add-on, really appreciate it.
No, thank you, and
Yeah, that's a great idea.
a really quick thing, just while it's on my mind, just to let this kind of like getting in the board's head a little bit, is, already have been reached out to by local groups of, hey, you know, in the future, can we use the assembly hall for a Sunday thing, you know, so, what would it cost to come in there if we could have a time slot this, so, just to throw that out there, to start thinking that, I think that might start happening a little bit, you know, more and more of what the use is and what that looks like and how we go about that and, you know, what type of,
My sustainable
we
building
could-
board meetings, we do, like I mentioned, the one we had at Fazio's, we need another space, we gotta mix it up.
yeah, cool, love it.
Um,
We can order the Fazio's.
Let's go,
It's so good.
if there is time today, we can go into executive session, but let's go through the financial statements first. We have one outstanding for approval from January, from February, from last month, but let's go over this month right now. When Matt, yeah, thank you, you have the floor.
Our first report statement of financial position, as of February 28th, we have total assets of $12,785,128. $314,703 of that was in cash. We have total liabilities of $11,341,625, which left us with a fund balance of $1,443,502. Most significant change to the statement of financial position was the removal of the Proctor's lease and deferred inflow, as it doesn't meet GASB 87 requirements yet.
So we actually ended up removing that from,
Well, that was my question too, before we accepted there's a lease with the city right now, why aren't we capitalizing that lease here along with all of other leases? We lease real property to someone and you aggregate all the rent?
But because of GASB 87, there's not a right to use property yet. So we
Okay.
can't record the lease and the deferred inflow yet.
Who doesn't have the right to use the property?
City of Troy.
They're there now, they're just
They're not
waiting for the landlord to complete
lease.
it, right? Okay.
Right.
The lease is,
So we can't record the bond either?
We can record the bond, it's still on there.
Liabilities? Okay. Oh, okay, total liability, okay, do I have another copy of this, or where am I?
On that,
Okay. I'll, yeah, I'm not an accountant.
that's all right, I'm good. My eyes are just,
I know, mine are really bad.
Okay, oh, okay.
You have sinus?
yeah,
Just
so on
like-
top of
yeah.
that,
This time of year's off.
and it's
It's
extra
bad.
like watery, I can't, it's
Mhm.
terrible, but anyway, sorry.
lastly, we have the statement of activity. For the month of February, we're in a deficit of $4,700. The most significant source of revenue and expense was just the payment of the Water Street pilot and the reimbursement for that pilot as well.
When do they make that $10,000 payment every year?
Usually March, April,
Okay.
so that should be,
Coming in,
yeah.
Where did the pilot reimbursement come from?
So that's from, county based.
Yeah, the tenant there. What occurs is the LDC is the owner of the land, has an IDA pilot where we pay, actually, I think it's almost at or more than taxes. And our tenant reimburses the LDC when we make the pilot payment to the city.
Okay.
Uh,
It's kind of you move it around twice.
Yeah, its title is Water Street Development, right,
Mhm.
like, but it's county waste.
Yeah.
Any further questions for the March 20th, meeting for the statement of financial position?
Outside, it's, not necessarily the statement of financial position, but do we, I know I was communicating with Wojcicki a little bit, do they have everything at this point that it sounds like they do, right?
They do, it's, a lot of the holdup is just, it's apart the
The
bond
bonds,
paperwork
yeah.
and all, everything that's involved with that, so.
Okay,
Everything else,
Okay.
they seem to have everything, and there was one question about, we received a payment from National Grid last year for the removal of a light pole, so they're asking about that.
okay. Okay. It sounds like that they're on track to get it done in another, like, week or so, so I
Yeah,
just
they
wanted to
just
see if you
wouldn't have it done
agree.
today.
It should be nice to be able to digest it in advance of the next
Well,
meeting, like if you
that-
want to read ahead would be.
Exactly, that's why I thought it'd be too,
Yeah,
even if
I
they could have
prefer
had
that.
it ready for this, it would have been too short period of time. I wanna give Noreen a full month to read it.
Yeah, thank you. It'll take me that. At the
No,
rate,
it is
at the,
yeah.
depending
Rate of
on how
sleep
much time the
depravity,
city
yeah.
council's gonna take. It's in my life since January,
Yeah,
I can't
that's
believe
how it is.
Okay.
Patience of Job
Thank
for
you.
those things.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to approve? And if so, do we have a second for that as well?
Make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna ask, we are, I forget the formal format for this, so I gotta say it right. We are requesting to go into, I make a motion to go into executive session for advice from our legal counsel. Do we have I'm just gonna put that motion forward. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to pause the meeting and communication and enter into that, and then we'll come back out and restart the meeting. So, could guests and all of the members please vacate the room?
So I was
You can
gonna,
push it in the front if you want.
I was gonna hang for like 15 minutes, but I have a meeting I really have to.
Oh, it's,
Yeah,
Okay.
we are, calling back into order the, local development corporation meeting. We're having executive session from our council advisement. And now there's one more item, adjournment. Who's got it? Andy's got it?
I got it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh,
See you, brother.
yeah.
Happy spring.
So this all